Hey guys, Brody here with Squid's Pressure Washing LLC, Kansas City's highest rated pressure washing service. Making this video today to talk a little bit about a question that gets asked relatively frequently, and that's how do I mount reels and build racks if I don't know how to weld. The first piece of advice would be, if you're going to be in this business any amount of time, it is not a bad idea to learn how to weld, because you're going to be fixing things constantly. But I want to talk a little bit about perforated steel, because it's not super common knowledge that this stuff exists. We'll talk a little bit more about perforated steel in a minute, and I'll put a link below so you can see another different version. We're also going to talk about something called Nordlock washers, which, cue the haters, Nordlock washers, in my opinion, are the second best thing to welding. And I'll put a link in the video description below so you guys can learn a little bit more about Nordlock washers. Okay, so back to perforated steel. This stuff tends to be galvanized, perforated angle, as it's also known. And I'll get back to that bolt there. It is really easy to use, it's easy to cut, and it comes with various different holes. Some for carriage bolts, some for regular bolt holes, some are elongated, but super easy to work with. As far as the Nordlock washers go, there will be a video description down below, but they're highly vibration resistant. Split washers are junk in my opinion. Good serrated nuts and washers. Better Nordlock washers. Best, learn how to weld. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that for pretty cheap and with the basic amount of tools. But this perforated steel can be cut with a hacksaw, can be cut with a grinder. It is galvanized, so I would highly recommend that you wear some kind of mask. But that means it's corrosion resistant, which is better than some of even the weldable angle that most of us choose to build our racks out of. So hacksaw, good, square, marker, that's all you need. It's just going to take you a long time. Better, a grinder, the square, the marker, and some cutoff discs, which you'll see here in just a second. Most of you are very likely familiar with this. I would also get some clamps to clamp it to whatever I'm cutting and marking. Now this stuff, it can be cut so it doesn't have to be perfectly square. In fact, if you give yourself a little bit of wiggle room, it will actually help you square it up, and it'll help you slide pieces in to build your box shape or virtually any 90-degree angle shape you want. And you can even cut 45s to build some sort of a brace. I would push the bolts in through the back side, because trying to get the nut on the other side with 3 bolts sticking through, 2 or 3 bolts sticking through, may be really tough. Another advantage of the nuts is that you can see when the bolt starts to back off. And you'll want to trim these down and deburr all your edges, make sure nothing's sharp. But this perforated steel is very much like an adult erector set, and I think most of you can figure it out pretty easily. We'll talk just a little bit about welders here in a second. My recommendation is buy a cheap stick welder. There's nothing super fancy about them. If you're using 1/8 inch steel, I wouldn't weld galvanized, but this guy right here I bought on Amazon 2 years ago, and it gets used more than this $1,000 Hobart right here. The stick welder, super versatile. This runs off 120 volt power, fantastic, and it only needs to be set once if you're welding the same stuff, again, like 1/8" steel. The galvanized stuff is toxic when you weld it. So you're going to want to wear a mask for that too if you decide to go that route. But this is a great starter machine, and this thing is in relatively constant use for not being in a professional weld shop. Works awesome. I've been really, really happy with it. And I'm the guy that says don't buy cheap tools. The Hobart has its place, but it runs best off 220. And then we'll jump back over here and you can see you actually save some money. I spent almost $1,000 on that machine. This machine here, super inexpensive, worth its weight in gold as far as the use and time that I've got out of it in my shop. Another thing I want to show you here briefly is that if you can't weld stuff to the trailer, you've got to figure out a way to bolt it down. This perforated steel makes it really easy to build feet. Just offcuts, again, make sure you deburr and soften all those edges so you don't cut yourself to pieces. But pretty versatile stuff. Couple notes about welding. 60-13 electrodes are plenty strong for what you're trying to accomplish with reel racks and easy to learn on. So find yourself a couple videos on YouTube of people that are better welding teachers than I will probably ever be, and anybody with even a modest technical aptitude will be welding in a few hours. I don't want to make that promise, but it's highly likely. One final note, we're on the race to 1,000 subscribers, so if you would please like, subscribe, and share, I would certainly appreciate it. It would be really helpful. And once we get to 1,000 subscribers, we've got some big news we're gonna put out there, including some giveaways and some other things for subscribers of our YouTube channel. So please like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Hopefully it was helpful.